Hi, everybody who is here. Thanks for joining this talk. My name is Dasha. I am currently in London and used to live in London, but before, just 1 month ago probably, I used to live in Køpi, and this was for 3 years. And I got involved with the day-to-day activities and before I moved back to London. So that's why I'm doing this info talk about the current situation in Køpi and the Køpi Wagenplatz trailer park in Berlin. So I'm still in touch more or less weekly, I would say. So I am, I might many times refer to us as we, even though I don't necessarily live there anymore. But what I assume most of you know about Køpi, it's a house and the Wagenplatz, a trailer park in the center of Berlin that has been existing since 31 years, actually. Køpi is a non-hierarchical, self-organized home and collective space. So the people live between the house and the trailer park. It's around 100 people. We call them activists, freaks, like artists, people like from all kinds of walks of life. What is maybe interesting about Køpi is as well that it has several generations living there. So literally people who first came and opened the house till got young people. So it has various generations spanning from 20 till 60. That makes it kind of a unique place in a way. And not only is a place where people live, but we also host several collectives. So we have Agaha, which runs concert. We have another place which runs concert, and we have rooms that they do info talks and workshops. And then we are doing in the basement, we have the cellar, which is doing parties to mostly for solidarity reasons, so to raise money for other collectives around Europe. So Køpi is an institution mostly known among the punks. I would say that they supported through that they had almost like all kinds of bands come and play there, and it is kind of an important station in Germany, in Berlin, and in Europe and worldwide. Maybe I didn't mention everything. We have a sports hall, climbing room, bicycle workshop, screen painting, info shop, and cinema. And there is also Food No Bombs kitchen happening every Wednesday. Till now, Køpi residents didn't take any money from the government, and everything is repaired and maintained by its own cost. So maybe just a little bit to history, maybe some bits that are interesting and not everybody knows. So in 1990, a group of left-wing anti-fascists from East and West Germany occupied this house and wanted to make a social center out of it. It's literally on the border of the wall. Köpenicker Straße, it is named after Köpenicker Straße, which according to that name is Køpi. It was very different in the 90s. Everything was still destroyed from the Second World War, so there was not really an interest. And as it was in the border and between the no man's land, that also gave an advantage to Køpi because the cops from East and West didn't know which route to follow because literally it was on the edge. So the situation obviously has changed dramatically, and now Køpi and Køpi Wagenplatz, the trailer park, are surrounded by gentrification because they are literally part of center of Berlin. So in 1990s, like in cold months in February, just 3 months after the fall of Berlin, this Köpenicker Straße 137 was occupied, and one of the first graffiti on the side, which is very iconic and is still there, it says the border does not run between nations, but it runs between the top and the bottom, becoming one of the most famous graffiti from the 90s in Berlin. And in 1990 November, there was an eviction of 12 important squats in Mainzer Straße. It was very violent, and since then there was a roundtable formed between the district and the other occupied houses, and they wanted to find a peaceful solution how to not repeat such a violent evictions anymore. And since 1991, Køpi received contracts for all the residents, for all the spaces they're occupying. So technically, it's not a squat. Since 1991, it has contracts with the city, which actually most of the places in Germany do. And then, however, the rocky time started in 95. till 98. The city sold Køpi to Faulkner Petersen. It's not an important name, but because he went into insolvency, since then it got constantly passed from auction to auction until it reached Sanus AG, which is a company that owns Køpi and Køpi Trailer Park till today. And its dubious owner is Siegfried Nehls, who is wanted kind of fraud evasion, for cheating small companies out of money, for giving contracts out and not paying the sub companies, and so on. So he is the owner, owning a lot of other properties around in Berlin. And that's the kind of problem where we are landing today. That means there was but okay, sorry, coming back to the past, sorry to be a little bit confusing, is that this company owned it. I mean, he owned it, but before it got to this bit, there is lots of sub companies, and they were constantly going into insolvency and passing on Køpi between themselves, among themselves, just renaming the companies and selling it to themselves on the auction. So it's a kind of a very dodgy network of companies and sub companies, but all leading to the same person that owns Køpi till today. I mean, the alleged owner. So, however, each time there was an auction, there was a lot of protests and solidarities action coming from Berlin, from Germany, from around the world. And that's where the sentence came as well, Køpi bleibt Risikokapital, which means Køpi is or remains risk capital. So this is kind of the sentence that Køpi is using till today, always to end up a speech or whatever, like basically it's the end, Køpi bleibt Risikokapital. Also in 2007, that was the last big threat. There was 100 cars set on fire across Berlin over the year. So there was a lot of actions going on that that kind of like linked Køpi to, even though like people didn't say it was us or something like this, it was still kind of know that it was in the protest of the evictions happening. Or then there was another fallout between the companies who own it, and Wesley Fichtner fell out with Nehls, and he signed another agreement with all the residents of Køpi, which that they can stay there. He signed the contract for 30 years, and that was in 2008. So since then it was a 30 years contract signed. And the Wagenplatz, I forgot to mention, like this is the one we're talking about, the trailer park. The gate got cracked open to the adjacent space next to the building in 1999, and since then only a couple of people came at the beginning in trailers, and there's this joke that first couple of days they put a ladder going above the wall, saying like, oh, when the cops come we can go and climb over and disappear. And to this day, like 20 years later, no cops ever appeared in the trailer park. So this is just a running joke that there was this ladder which nobody ever used. But today there is around 30 to 40 people living there, and this is the place that we keep fighting for, because in 2019, in February 2021, we received a letter from Statezia, which is the sub-company of Sanus AG, that we are supposed to vacate the property with these 30 trailers that have been there for more than 20 years. And they gave us 3 weeks notice that otherwise they will take us to court. Like Køpi Wagenplatz did not leave, and we decided to go to court and fight for it. Now, there was no notice for any, that the court came only like 4 weeks before they announced that the court gate is happening on 10th of June. So the from then they moved us from a civil court, even though it's a dispute about agreement, they moved us from civil court to the criminal court with high security, where everybody get checked from top to bottom, and there was very little possibility for actions. Køpi Wagenplatz lost the verdict in 15 minutes, and the eviction title was granted, even though there is some serious doubts about the signature, the legitimacy of the signature of the owner, and so on. So since then, they got this immediate eviction order, but then the owner has to pay 200,000 euros as a deposit before he can appeal for a true eviction. That means that he will get all the cops and everybody from the city to support him to evict these people. So the situation we are currently now is that we don't know a day when KÖPI Wagenplatz is supposed to be evicted, but we think all the time it's going to be sooner rather than later. However, we are 2 weeks before the local election in Germany. That means there was a lot of talk about it from local politicians that they will support it and they don't want another eviction. However, we think this is just a game and kind of trying to win votes rather than true promises. So this can happen anytime, but it probably won't happen in the next 2 weeks, but it can happen very soon after the election finish because nobody wants to take the responsibility on them. Maybe just to situate it a little bit in the context what happened in Berlin in the last year, and that we've seen in other cities and how the gentrification went ahead, is that in recent years, vital spaces such as Liebig 14, which I'm sure many of you know, it was a queer feminist house project that was there over 30 years, got evicted. The youth center drugstore, the community center Friedel 54, and the bar collective Syndikat and Meuterei, the trailer park Diesla, Sabot Garden, the Oranienplatz occupation, and the Occupy School and Ollauer Straße have all disappeared, just to name the few. So there is a massive change in Berlin, and some obviously copying different trends across Europe. And this doesn't stop. So Riegerstraße 94 is in immediate danger, as well the Køpi trailer park and the Ratibor community, Lauze 1011, and the community garden Prachtomate. So there is many more on the list that are threatened by immediate eviction. So there is a big solidarity happening and a movement happening in Germany, which is called also Interkitionale, in Berlin, specifically. That means it's a network of all these projects who are affected and people who are fighting against gentrification, and they call regular protests and organize regular protests on days of eviction, before eviction, during the court date, to visit the lawyers and so on. So the actions are all kinds. And so it's great that this network happens. And because we really want to fight for a city that people can paint banners, people can meet, organize solidarity parties, people can meet without non-commercial, to have non-commercial or subcultural events, raising solidarity money for other projects and so on, and to experiment and test ideas. I suppose we can all agree on it that these places are kind of vital in any city to make it thrive and to offer a space to meet and have an alternative to the mainstream. So what we are thinking now, if the eviction is happening and we will have the date, we immediately call for support for all around Europe, and whoever can come and join the fight before and during it, it's obviously more than welcome. There is sleeping places offered in Køpi, there is food, there is networking opportunities and so on. So it means like there will be help. It's not like we just leave you there and you have to kind of support us. There will be a way to link you in the plan to resist the eviction. We also think that there will be a red zone put in front of KÖPI Wagenplatz. That a red zone is something that is 72 to 48 hours before the eviction is happening, and that blocks off streets all around surrounding it. This is to isolate people, and that only people who live and who have like a registered address in the place can enter, and they will be checked, their ID will be checked, and their registration will be checked by the cops to let you in and out. So generally what happens, people who come and support have to come before like 3 days or and be inside the building, because after that they won't be able to come, inside the building, inside the Wagenplatz. This is to discourage any kind of protest. This is to put the people resisting in isolation. This is a tactic that has been employed, for example, by the eviction of Liebig 94, in Liebigstraße, and they spent like they sent like 2,600 cops to evict like 30 people from inside Liebigstraße, and they cost around 1 million euros to make this eviction happen. So there was a big outcry if the city of Berlin does actually want to spend such a money, to evict people and destroy another important place in Berlin. So maybe important question is like, what can people do, or how can you help us? So the most important is to keep this topic visible and alive, and that means talking to your networks, talking to your friends, and keep yourself updated about the time, about the date when it's going to be announced, because then, but in between, we welcome any kind of action, if it's constructive or destructive, if it's from painting banners to organize solidarity paintings to whatever you decide you want to do, then please do it. It does really help the people who are kind of getting exhausted, because now it's been such a long time since 10th of June and we still don't have a date, and we kind of don't know when the date is coming. So people cannot maintain this energy every day, like, oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that, because obviously it gets exhausting after a while. So any kind of support that we get is pretty amazing. And we do have a Twitter account, we do have a Telegram, we have a website, we have a blog, and we keep updating it all the time, and every day we post the info. So this is something that keeps us going. What else can I say? So the plan is to resist the eviction as much as we can. And for that, any kind of support is welcome. It's true that in lots of cities in Germany, there people started to paint banners and hang their banners up and sending us pictures. And that was really lovely. And so we would love any of support and make this matter visible, that we cannot lose another place and just getting another glass building built next to us. So if we lose the Wagenplatz, we will lose the KÖPI as well soon. So for us, we are united that we do fight for both of these places together. So I am here, like, I don't know if people can ask questions or type questions, or I'm not sure.
Quiet? Sorry, I forgot to have my mic on. So they've been quite quiet, but it sounds like an amazing place. I'm just wondering more of the history of how it first kind of got together and became a thing. I might have missed that bit, but I'd love to hear more about it.
So it was, it was in 1990. Like, there was the first place on the border, because there started to be lots of empties, after the Russian army left and the Berlin Wall fell down. So they start to be, there was this no man's land zone where there used to be the massive trailer park going on, and lots of places got squatted, and some streets got squatted and so on. So no, it's a 3-story, 4-story, 5-story building with 3 wings, and then the Wagenplatz on the side. So it has a massive history. It runs a bar every day. It does run screen printing every Friday. It does have bicycle workshops every Friday as well. So it's always open to other people to come. And it's open to public as well, which is like the nice bit in Berlin, that you have these places not only for the inside community, but actually people from outside can come and see, not the living spaces, but the open spaces for public.
Cool. I'm just wondering, is there like any specific days of action where you're calling for people to come together, or?
No, this is the problem. Like, there is, I mean, like in any of these places, you have some few people who organize everything, and lots of people kind of get along. You know how it is generally. Like, you don't have like 100 people active. You have maybe 10 people active. So these people cannot like coordinate all the actions all the time. So they focus obviously on Berlin and Germany. But what we ask is just do it. Like, we are not able to like coordinate a day of action everywhere. Like, it seems like this is beyond our manpower. But we are like anything you do, like send a picture or a state or a text or a statement or some support words, and it gets to the people. Like, there is the KÖPI email address to reach us on. There is the Twitter. It's always under KÖPI 137. You can find it easily, or Telegram. On the website there is all the info. Otherwise, I wanted to give the info sign with all the addresses. I don't know if I can copy just like this, but so it's easy to find if people type KÖPI. So there is even a YouTube channel with a lot of different videos that we started to make. So Yeah, people can donate money if they want, but this is not the main focus. If they do want to make solidarity event, then obviously the lawyers' costs are going to be very high. And because the court, we are going to an appeal, so there was already one court case and there is going to be another court case. Obviously, if people do some action, then there is support for their costs if they get into trouble. So that's what we're fundraising as well for, that we have support people who are willing to do something where they need lawyer support. And there will be also some cost, obviously, if we do lose the Wagenplatz and trailer park, to help the people to find some other place to live. So we are trying to support, obviously, anybody who gets involved in the. And for this, Berlin and Berlin squads are really good in this. They do really do well with finances and maintain them and like support other people who need it.
That's cool.
Because they have the chance to build up and to have these open spaces and to run bars and do events. So it's kind of very good that this is running, because we have our own way of financing them the struggle.
Cool. There's no other questions at the moment, so it's up to you if you want to tell us more, or whether you want to wrap it up.
No, that was like more or less. I don't think I'm like, everybody is welcome now. It's like, if you can travel, like, please feel free to go and see see the situation for yourself. And I would say, like, as soon as we know the date, we will definitely update all the channels and try to reach out to all kinds of networks to tell them. There will be another live info talk in Bristol and Brighton, so that's the 26th and 27th of September. But yeah, that's for me, it's everything. Yeah, I don't.